few people I've met in my life that are better at LinkedIn business development than I am. And what an honor that is to have that title. But seriously, it's freaking important and it's done so many good things for me. I've raised millions of dollars through LinkedIn cold messages. I have met Warren Buffett. I have flown on a private jet with Dan Gilbert. All of this is from cold messages that started on LinkedIn. Not always directly, but they somehow started on LinkedIn and snowballed into these epic stories. That's what's about to happen for you. You're gonna go meet a ton of cool people. They're gonna love you. It's gonna be awesome. And you're gonna have great stories to tell your kids and whatever, your grandkids. Okay, so here's the game. We're building an investor outreach system, and that investor outreach system is going to take hundreds of investors on the left side of the pipeline and move them all the way through to closing on the right side of the pipeline. Let's say we start with hundreds on the far left, which is your targeting category, and we end with 4 or 5 in the close category. You're gonna get 90 plus rejections, and that's okay. That's how this works. So toughen up. So the investor outreach system is the same one I used for both of my fundraisers, same one I use for my companies. It's so simple. It's not about the tool's complexity, it's about how you use it. And I feel like I've refined it to the only things that actually matter, which are tracking, stage, and follow-up. Nothing else matters. If you just send a bunch of messages and then track that you followed up with them, that is the core of the system. And so many people overcomplicate it, but it's not. So the way that works is you download the investor database, start to set it up, add some of the investors that you've been talking to, add some people that you want to target, go through some of my lessons around comp systems, reverse comping, which is when you find comparable startups and then reverse engineer their seed round to figure out who are the right investors for you. That's all within the next few levels. And most importantly, you just need to become familiar with this sheet, because this sheet is going to be our source of truth as we go and close capital. And this sheet is going to tell us who we need to follow up with. It's going to give you the notes you need when you're on the call. It's going to let you know who's a good fit and who's not based on stage, their interest. We're going to categorize everybody. We're going to, heat map them, rank them. There's just a lot of stuff that we can do with this, but at its most simple form, you need to have every name on here that you're talking to in the proper stage with the proper ranking, all the information filled out in the adjacent database. This is going to snowball like crazy. This is going to snowball to a point where you're going to start off thinking that this isn't working. You're going to send 200 messages and nobody's going to respond, and you're going to get all upset and be like, this isn't working. This is dumb. And I'm going to force you to keep doing it. And all of a sudden you're going to get your first response. And then you're going to get your second response, and then your third response, and then the person who was the first responder introduces you to a fourth person, and then that fourth person really likes you and they introduce you to 2 more people, and all of a sudden this thing has snowballed uncontrollably, and you have so many people that want your time that now you have to go figure out who's actually worth taking the call with, because some of them will be good, some of them will be bad, some of them will be investors, some of them will be advisors that can't invest, and you need to know all this stuff and track all of it. This system is set up to do that. So go get familiar with this. Come to the group session. I will work through finding comps for you. I'll do it live. We'll look through your pipeline. I'll show you some of my pipelines if you ask. I'll show you how I do the outreach. I'll show you how I think of cold messages. I'll show you how I structure them. I'll show you all that stuff. It's gonna be awesome. So go get started, download it, and let's kick off. This is where the fundraise starts, by the way. Before all this, story. That's the easy part. This is when it starts. And each level gets way harder from here exponentially until we're closing on level 50. Good luck. Okay, here's when the rubber meets the road. You got your story, you got your deck, you got your investor outreach system set up, you got your LinkedIn cleaned up, you got everything is ready to go, and we're ready to start getting responses. So now we start the outreach. So you go send 40 messages, literally today, go send 40 messages to the 40 people on your target list. Target some family offices, target some angels, target different categories of investors so you can start to get a feel for who's interested in your deal. Okay, so that's important at this stage. We're still experimenting, but we're iterating. So go message a bunch of different types of people. Make sure that you track who you message so that if you have an opportunity to follow up, you can follow up. Gotta follow up. We're gonna get into the importance of that, but that's gonna be more introductions will come from follow-ups than your initial outreach. However, in order to follow up, you have to have an initial outreach, and that's what this stage is. So go spread wide, message as many people as you can on LinkedIn, on X, on email, text them if you have to, send them gift baskets. I don't care what you do, just go get a hold of a bunch of people. go through my cold outreach concepts and figure out what value do you want to offer to them in your cold message. If I was a founder, instead of maybe directly asking for capital to my startup, I would say something like, hey, I know 6 other founders that are all building seed stage startups. Can I send you our 6 decks and you can take a look through it? And if you like any of them, then I'll introduce you. Or if you like my deck, of course we can talk. Like, that's a much more helpful thing to send a VC to get an intro than it is going, hey, I'm raising $1 million. I want your money. Right? It's hugely different. So think about how you offer value in creative ways. One of the ways I did this in the past when I was doing investor development, investor outreach, was I would offer people lunch for an anti-capital raise. So instead of asking for money, I wasn't asking for money. Instead of asking for money, I was asking to give them money. So literally I would say, I'm doing an anti-capital raise. I'll pay $30 to buy your lunch and give me an hour of your time. And that was great. And I did that for 10 people. And in those 10, I raised millions of dollars, specifically from one angel investor, because we had a great lunch. It was a 4-hour lunch. He was an awesome guy. You know what I mean? Like, that's how this works. He was just like an awesome guy. We got along fantastic. We were just having lunch. I didn't know anything about his background when we sat down. And so I just went in there completely like ready to just network. That's the key to this. Just friendly networking at this stage. Just go talk to people. Don't worry about raising. You're not pitching. Like, you're just meeting investors casually, trying to get a lay of the land and understand how to set your round up. Genuinely, be genuine about that. You're just curious and looking for what's the best route, the best investor match, all that stuff. Important, go send a bunch of messages right now. In the upper right corner, click off you're done and go send a bunch of messages. Let's go.